How's it going, everybody? My name is Philip, and today we're going to be reacting to top 10 demons that Ed and Lorraine Warren feared. Now, if you're new to this channel, I really enjoy watching spooky stuff like ghost videos, compilations, and whatnot. I always find them to be very fun. I know typically they're supposed to be meant for scary things and to be spooky, but I don't know. I just like them. They're just fun to me. They're fun to watch. Like, sometimes they are kind of creepy, but I really enjoy watching them. I just like horror stuff now. Growing up, I hated it, but now I don't know. I just love it. You know, the horror. What's terrifying to me is seeing needles go into people. That shit's fucking scary. But seriously, it's just one of those where I don't like seeing it. I don't like needles. You know, I know it's something stupid. I just don't like being poked by fucking needles. It's not that big of a fucking deal. But demons are pretty scary too, you know. So I'm interested to see who these two, the Warrens, were actually scared of. Because if they're scared of them, then maybe we all should be scared of them. Unless you don't believe in demons, then maybe it doesn't really matter. Either way, I think it's going to be quite interesting. You know, I watched the movies, The Conjuring. I enjoyed them. So, and Annabelle. Still enjoyed it. But let's check it out. Alright, so clearly I'm doing something a bit different. I'm trying a new type of style for recording certain videos. When it's music type of related videos, my reaction is going to be quite bigger. For stuff like this, it's going to be quite smaller. And if I pause it, you'll see what I mean. I might not pause it, but I might. So, let's check it out.
From dedicated demonic followers and horrific artifacts to some of their most famous cases, today we review the demons our favorite demonologists feared. Join me as we review our top 10 demons that Ed and Lorraine Warren feared. I'm your host, Rachel Fisher, and let's get spooked, shall we? Number 10, The Devil Made Me Do It. In 1981, 19-year-old Arn Cheyenne Johnson sparked controversy far and wide for a crime he wasn't behind, or so we think. While arguing with Alan Bono over Johnson's girlfriend, Arn stabbed Bono, resulting in the man's death. When police arrived, Arn claimed that the devil made him do it. When the words "the devil made me do it" came from his mouth, it sent the world into controversy. Apparently, Arn was possessed by a demon that had not been vanquished by the Warrens at all. Ed and Lorraine had worked with his family a year prior when Arn's girlfriend's brother David was possessed by not one, not two, but 43 demons.
Holy
In order to
shit.
save him, Arn commanded the demons to enter him instead, so when his dark deed finally occurred, Ed and Lorraine flew to his defense. The Warrens stated that at the time of the exorcism, and I quote, "Johnson leapt up and cried to the demon, 'Come into me, I'll fight you, come into me.' But from that time on, he was possessed." The Paranormal Society was split in half, but Johnson's team was committed. The court had defended acts of God in the past, like a lightning strike to a tree hits a car, you know what I mean? And now it was time to defend accounts of the devil. But despite what you believe, it wasn't enough, and Johnson received a maximum sentence, but was released after good behavior just 4 years later. But still, the fact that these demons were never truly vanquished left the Warrens terrified that this might be the case elsewhere. Number 9.
Yo, okay, so that's the whole thing. So he got let out for good behavior. What happened to the demons when he was in jail? They decided to say, you know what? We're done. We out. Like, we ain't gonna get locked up. we going out to other. Maybe he just gave them to other inmates. Like it was Halloween candy. Like they were, you know. Because he was let out for good behavior, right? So I'm just saying, he just gave the demons out. He was like, yo, he's like Oprah in jail. Like, you get a demon and you get a demon. You get a demon. You want one? Here's two. You know, like.
9, the SMURL haunting. Jack and Janet SMURL sound like they should be like the leading couple of a comedy featuring Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis. But of course, wrong list. The plight of the couple attracted the attention of Ed and Lorraine Warren after a series of dark and ominous events struck, of course. In the 1970s, the family started experiencing shocking technical mishaps like their TV bursting into flames and toilets flushing by themselves. I know, do ghosts poop? Apparently. At first, they didn't think anything of it, but then the knocking started in a peculiar pattern of 3, followed by terrible sudden odors, making the SMURLs feel ill. The strange noises and smells were swiftly followed by sightings and thus entered the Warrens. The Warrens discovered a presence of 3 separate demons, and despite 3 exorcisms, the family reported the return of the demons until finally they let go 15 years later. Number 8, the haunting in Connecticut. The mortuary turned home for the Snedeker family in Southington, Connecticut definitely created the perfect breeding grounds for a scary story, one that left even the Warrens uneasy in their skin. First off, moving into a mortuary? No thank you. In the 1980s, the Warrens took on the case of Carmen and Al Snedeker, who were being tormented by a series of restless spirits and demons. So in this case, it's not just one, but many that they feared. The family
this is
reported
in the movie.
Smell of rotted flesh lingering in the house because, I don't know, it was a mortuary, and that the taps would turn red out of nowhere. The eldest son was plagued by visions of ghosts, and both Carmen and Al reported being sodomized by the ghosts. It's a very specific activity, which led to the Warrens making the discovery that whoever the morticians were, their activities were not always professional, if you get my drift. I don't know what's worse, the demons themselves or like the people who used to live there. Ugh, can't handle that. This was one of their most confusing cases and remains under scrutiny to this day, but the Warrens knew whatever it was had to be exorcised. But the question is, was it really, or is it just hiding out until someone else comes along? Number 7, the...
Yo, okay, so that's another question though. Like, how many people have actually moved into these houses afterwards? Like, has anyone moved into this house, like, after they left? Like, after all this happened? Was that the house that got burned? There was a scary movie I watched where the house got burned. I don't know if that was just movie stuff or if that actually happened. Because, you know, they got to make it a little bit more entertaining in the movies and whatnot. But I don't... See, this is the confusing thing. These are, like, certain things that I want to know. Did anyone move into the house afterwards? And did they continue?
Enfield haunting. I don't know what it is with the 70s, man. It just seems like so much weird stuff happened. We had serial killers. It's nuts. But it just seems like it's one of the strangest times in history. What with violent killers and violent
specifically
hauntings.
U.S.
The
history.
Enfield haunting took place in Brimstown, England, and remains one of the more boggling cases the Warrens worked on. Peggy Hodgson and her family claim to have seen furniture and toys being thrown and moved by unknown forces in their homes. They even claimed that violent voices were heard and that their children were levitating in the air. They caught the photo of the girls levitating when the investigators set up a wired control camera into the room, which periodically caught images throughout the night. Whatever it was, the Warrens knew there was a demonic entity within the house and immediately set to work. Number 6, the Perrin family.
Yo, okay, I'm sorry. It feels like they're just going over these really quickly. Like, I want to know. I want more information on every single one of these.
Case. The Perrin family lived in the old Arnold estate, which inspired the scariest film I have ever seen, personally, because if you've watched me on Central Dark, you know how low my tolerance is. But anyway, it's still
What
awful.
movie?
Yeah, you know it. You've heard of it. 8 generations of families lived and died in the old house and apparently never wanted to leave, or never could. When the Perrin family moved in the 1970s, the advice they got was to leave the lights on always. Why didn't you leave then? I don't know. I don't know how that didn't send them running for the hills. The house had been rife with tragedy, but one of the 3 people who took their own lives was an alleged Satanist whose activity was responsible for the possession of the house. Her name was Bathsheba Sherman, who became a demon that Lorraine will never forget. The demon would physically attack the daughters of the Perrin family, with one reportedly seeing a floating head screaming and retching at her.
That's
I almost didn't say her name, but I didn't, so we'll see what happens to me now. Number 5, the Shadow Doll. The Shadow Doll is literally the doll of your nightmares. The Shadow Doll comes from unknown origins, but was kept in the Warrens Museum for...
Yo, hold on. This doll over here is just as creepy. What is that? Yo, nah, that's not.
Keeping.
That's not
but
okay.
what we do know was that it was used for satanic rituals, and that the thing is doused in black magic and contains human and animal bones. Whatever possesses this thing had the Warrens take it into their possession to ensure that it caused harm to no one else. Legend has it that if you take a picture of the doll, it will possess your nightmares. But it won't just be any nightmare. It will be the most terrifying you've ever experienced, and some have even suffered heart attacks from them. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't they just burn the thing? Well, what's more dangerous? A demon you can see right in front of you, or one free to wander wherever it chooses? Honestly, I take the spider approach with this. If you see the spider, you know where the spider is, you're good. As soon as the spider disappears, burn your house down. Number 4, Valak. This one is a little controversial because was it just made up for the films? We don't know. Valak is a real demon mentioned in the Lesser Key of Solomon that was introduced into the Conjuring series of films. Though her direct involvement with Lorraine and Ed is under debate, Lorraine's belief in the demon was very strong. Valak is referred to as the Great President of Hell and usually chooses to appear as a small winged, two-headed creature thing resembling a child. Valak is said to command 30 legions of demons, and in the film became the leading arch nemesis of the Warrens. We'll mention Borley Church in a second, but Valak was portrayed as a nun. But there is some speculation that says that they may have actually encountered him throughout some of their worst cases. Lorraine often said that she encountered a black, shadowy vision of a dark entity whenever she wasn't working on a case, and believed that she was being followed by something she couldn't explain. Want to know more? Stay tuned until the end of the video and make sure to like and subscribe while we're here. Number 3, Borley Church. Relates to Valak. We'll talk about this in a second. The grim history of Borley Church is the perfect setting for a horror film. The land upon which it is built used to be the home to a 14th century monastery where a monk fell in love with a nun at a nearby convent, which led to the monk being hanged, and the nun was bricked up alive within the walls of her convent, which sounds pretty friggin' extreme if you ask me. It sounds like evil resided there long before Ed and Lorraine made the trek out to sort out whatever demon lay between its walls. Whoever did that to those two poor people, ugh, that's awful. This case inspired the famous nun apparition, as I mentioned, as the youngest daughter of the family who settled there reported seeing her figure. She was also pushed and slapped hard enough to leave welts behind, and that was just in the 1800s. When Ed and Lorraine visited, they obtained photo evidence of the hauntings. Ed captured the image of a monk leafing through one of the books at the altar, and Lorraine experienced a black entity rush past her. Valak. She remembered feeling an overwhelming sense of evil. A picture revealed later showed that the shadow of a nun was rushing past her, so that's where the image came from. So was it Valak? We don't know. Number 2, the Annabelle doll. You knew.
I thought it was gonna be number 1.
The most famous of the hauntings conquered by the Warrens was the Annabelle doll. It would almost be a crime not to mention it. Dolls are already eerie with their black, piercing, beady eyes that look like there's nothing there. But in this case, the most terrifying part was the thing behind it. The case dates.
I will say, I do think it's kind of funny how they always have to change things up a bit for the movies. Like, look at what they changed it from looking this sweet little doll to something creepy. You know, just to give off that eerie vibe for the entire movie. You know, people was like, that just looking at that fucking doll makes it already evil. Like, but the other one is like, oh, but it's a cute little doll. I think not.
Back to the 1970s when a Raggedy Ann doll was innocently purchased from an antique store for her daughter. Soon the doll began raising alarm when it would change positions in the house, boggling its owners. But when the notes started showing up saying help me and help Lou, then they came home to find it covered in blood, and they decided then that they needed to call a professional. The first medium they called in said it was just the spirit of a girl who passed away. But then the owner, Angie's boyfriend, was attacked. Enter the Warrens. They knew the doll was in fact a demon based on the marks of the beast and other encounters. They removed the doll and took it home, vowing not to take the highway, concerned that whatever was within the the doll might cause an accident. Indeed, their brakes stalled or failed several times on their way home, putting their life in jeopardy several times. It wasn't until Ed doused the doll in holy water that the problem desisted. The couple was so concerned about the doll that Ed routinely said a prayer over the doll every single night. Alright, number 1, the Amityville horror case. The setting.
They did this
Amityville, Long Island in 1975. A place rife with satanic manifestations set on driving whoever entered to violent madness. As soon as I even say Amityville, you know where this is going. One of the most famous Warren cases, this haunting continues to land on the conclusion that there are just some things that can't be explained. A year before the Lutzes moved into the suburban home in Long Island, Ronald DeFay Jr. shot and killed the 6 members of his family. So it's no wonder that during the first month of living there, the Lutzes experienced swarms of flies, loud banging noises, disturbing entities, and even levitations. The Lutzes moved out and left all their belongings behind, and George Lutz, the father, an ex-Marine and karate expert, so clearly a tough guy, wouldn't even meet the Warrens at the house. He met them at a Pizza Hut. He was that scared. The Warrens said that this case affected their personal relationship to each other the most out of any case they've worked on. This entity followed the Warrens home the very first day, and Lorraine described being incredibly fearful. There was something she just couldn't explain. To this day, Lorraine says that this is the case that haunts her the most, and said, and I quote, she hoped that this was as close to hell as she would ever get. Ed and Lorraine Warren encountered thousands of demons in their lifetime, some nameless, others all too familiar. Today's list featured their most famous cases and encounters that I don't think anyone upon hearing them could forget. Remember to like and subscribe and comment on this video to help show your support if you like this one and you want to see more like it. I've been your host, Rachel Fisher, and until next time, guys, take care.
Okay, so that was definitely very interesting. Probably not the thing that I should have watched before I was going to go to bed after I finish editing it, but it is what it is. Hopefully you like this new type of format that I'm going for with other type of videos that aren't necessarily music related videos. I felt like it'll be something a little bit more fun, mix it up, change things up a little bit. I know I just said that with the mix it up part, but I mean my brain doesn't want to properly think of other things to say, I guess. But I'm spooked. I'm actually kind of spooked because I do believe in demons and I don't want any of that. I didn't want any of that, my friends. Again, probably not the best thing to have watched at this time of night. I gotta get up early tomorrow, and I want to be able to actually sleep. That picture of a nun was a bit going overboard there, man. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But I guess I didn't realize that the Amityville horror case was theirs. So, yeah. That just means I gotta rewatch the movies. Even though, were they even in the movies? Did they even ever really happen in the movies or something like that? I don't know. Regardless, I should watch them because I don't have enough stuff to watch as it is already, I guess. Jeez, dang it. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Subscribe for more content just like this. Help me get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month, end of September. It's kind of a big goal. I know it's 500 subs within this month. I feel like I can do it. I'm excited. I'm hoping you guys can help me out by just clicking that red subscribe button. It'll help me out a lot. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.